I wake each morning before the sun, because this house remembers that habit. The walls hold the breath of decades, and the floorboards answer my steps with soft creaks like old friends clearing their throats. The garden waits for me outside the back door, where dew clings to the roses and the apple tree Arthur planted leans just enough to greet the light. I breathe in soil and leaves, and the faint iron scent of the tools he sharpened by hand. Arthur is everywhere here. In the porch rail he carved with a steady patience. In the kitchen clock that ticks with a sound like a calm heart. In the study where the oak desk bears the weight of years and promises. I live quietly now. I mend. I water. I read by the window where dust floats in slow rivers. People think quiet means empty. They are wrong. Quiet is full. Quiet is where memory stands upright and strong. Arthur taught me dignity without speeches. He said, do your work. Keep your word. Never sell what you do not understand. He died with his boots clean and his hands honest. When the mail comes, I open it slowly and place it in neat stacks. Bills are paid. Letters answered. The house stands because we stood for it. I have never been poor in the ways that matter. Still, I have learned that people see a widow and imagine softness they can press. They imagine silence they can fill with their own noise. They forget that silence can be a debt that comes due. Mark is my grandson, and he learned early how to borrow without asking how to return. When he was young, he borrowed my car and brought it back with the tank empty and a story ready. Later, it was money for a class that never finished. Then rent that slipped away. Each time his eyes would shine with need, and his voice would promise a future payment. I believed him because hope is stubborn. He learned that hope can be mined. He learned to dig. Tiffany arrived like a mirror held too close. She measures rooms with her gaze and weighs people with her smile. Her shoes speak before she does. Her phone lights her face with a glow she trusts more than daylight. She speaks of value as if it is a dress size and of respect as if it is a service one buys. She calls me sweet and dear and squeezes my arm with fingers that never warm. She likes to mention friends with houses that shine and kitchens that look like magazines. She likes to say investment and future and security. She likes to say concern while her eyes move through my cupboards. She believes age is a crack she can pry open. She believes tradition is an accessory. She believes silence means consent. They came on a Tuesday and brought papers. The kettle sang while rain tapped the windows. We sat at the kitchen table that still bears the nick Arthur made when he laughed too hard. Mark cleared his throat and Tiffany folded her hands and smiled a careful smile. Grandma, we are worried about you, Mark said. You live alone. This house is a lot to manage. I said I manage. Tiffany leaned forward. We just want to help. There are options. We spoke to someone. Guardianship can make things easier. I looked at the papers. They smelled of ink and impatience. They said words like care and oversight and best interest. They were heavy with assumption. I asked who paid for these. Mark said a friend helped. I asked which friend. He did not answer. Tiffany spoke again. You should not worry about taxes and repairs. You could sign the house to us and we would take responsibility. You could live here, of course. Nothing would change. I said everything would change. Mark reached for my hand. Grandma, you know I would never hurt you. I said you already have. The rain grew louder. The clock kept time. Tiffany sighed as if patience were a favor. We can make this simple, she said. Think of your age. Think of the future. I said I am thinking of it. Mark pushed the papers closer. It is just a form. I stood. My chair scraped the floor. The kettle clicked off. I said, wait here. The study holds a smell that settles the mind. Old paper, leather polish, and a trace of cedar from the chest Arthur built. The oak desk is heavy and sure. My fingers know its edges. I open the drawer that sticks and press the panel Arthur taught me about with a smile he kept for lessons. The compartment slid free with a whisper. Inside lay envelopes thick with years. Deeds, letters, receipts, the weight of foresight. Arthur believed in quiet strength. He believed in keeping proof. I carried the bundle against my chest and felt my heart steady. Outside the rain softened. Inside me something hardened into clarity. I returned to the kitchen and placed the documents on the table. The contrast was plain. Their thin papers curled at the corners. Mine lay flat and patient. I unfolded the lease and smoothed it with care. This is a land deed, I said. It is for the parcel across the street where the shopping mall stands. Mark frowned. Tiffany laughed once and stopped. The lease runs long, I said. The payments arrive on time. They have for years. Tiffany reached for the page and stopped when she saw the seal. Her breath hitched. You own that, Mark said. Arthur did, I said. And now I do. The room changed. Greed lost its mask and fear tried to put one on. We thought you had nothing, Tiffany said. I said you thought wrong. I opened another envelope. This one held a list written in Arthur's hand and finished in mine. Dates, amounts, promises. Mark, you borrowed for the car, I said. You borrowed for school. You borrowed for rent. You borrowed again. You said thank you and never said when. He sank into his chair. I was going to pay you back. Tiffany stood and paced. This is not fair, she said. We were trying to help. I read on. Tiffany, you borrowed jewelry for an event and returned it scratched. You said it was an accident. Her voice cracked. You are keeping score. I said I am keeping truth. Mark reached for me. I am sorry, Grandma. I did not know. I did not mean it. I pulled my hand back. Apologies are not currency. Tiffany began to cry loudly, then softly, then with anger. You planned this, she said. I said no. I prepared. I gathered the papers and placed them back in my arms. I said this visit is over. Leave the keys on the table. Mark hesitated, then did as told. Tiffany threw hers down and stared as if daring me to change. I opened the door. The rain had stopped. They stepped out into the clean air, and I closed the door behind them. I changed the locks that afternoon. The house breathed easier. At dusk, I sat on the porch with a cup of tea and watched the lights of the mall glow across the street. I thought of Arthur and his steady hands. I heard his voice in the quiet. Keep your word. Know your worth. Silence can be a debt. Tonight it was paid.